the change. So I think for Aristotle, what he wants to do is not.
Wait, 1 second. We can't. Oh.
Oh, Mark, are you recording this or?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't make it insult useless now if you're going to be recording something. I can respect.
Wait, just be quiet. It's a one. This is like a
Shut
debate,
up.
actually.
No one cares what the fuck you have to say, bitch. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Can we at least finally start now?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
why are we going to account for change with Aristotle?
Okay. So what Aristotle is trying to reconcile in Greek philosophy up till his time is an account of change that is being critiqued by Parmenides. And I think I'm assuming you're familiar a bit with, like the Parmenidean attitudes towards being and non-being, such that we can only really, so we can only really think of being, and non-being is this complete ineffability that really doesn't even make sense. And what Parmenides is saying is that what change involves is that something comes to be from what is not. And so what is not being. But being and not being isn't even coherent. We can't even make a coherent account of change. So we can take an example like an acorn. And an acorn, grows into an oak tree. But the oak tree was not yet. It didn't exist. But from non-existence comes non-existence. We can't get existence from a non-being. And so what Aristotle is wanting to do is say that, well, it's not that the oak tree really has no existence. It's that there is this existence in a way that isn't quite actual like the acorn is, but has this potentia, right? That can be actualized by the constitution of the acorn and such, right? So what we're really doing here is looking at a possibility really as having a form of being that relates to actuality. And these two are what are going to save us from collapsing into this sort of Parmenidean denial of change.
I think so potentia is the same as possibility here.
Yeah, so I guess we can look at them related that way, right? And we could say that possibility is possibility really the same as non-being, because for a lot of people it really isn't the case that it's not completely non-being, but it's being that may as well be but not be.
What does that even mean? So it's being be and not be. So do you mean like that being isn't actualized?
Correct. Yeah. So like we relate like what do we relate possibility to? Is what I'm basically saying.
Okay, so like why can't I give like an account for change that doesn't include like potentiality, right? So I can just say like, assuming B theory is correct, right? We can just say that what a change is just the variance of properties between different time slices.
Okay. So like this B theory, is that the one where both the past and the future and the present are all eternally like concurrent?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, the issue with that is like, how do you make like sense of a duration, for example? Like, do these time slices have a duration themselves? Because if they don't, then like how are you going to get duration out of things that don't have duration?
The duration's just psychologically, like it's a psychological thing.
Like, what can you go into that? Like, I'm not quite sure how it works.
When we talk about duration, we're just talking about the conscious flow of time. So we're talking about, this is going to happen like about 5 seconds. This is going to happen about 4 seconds. That's just like a psychological thing that our brains do. It's nothing to do with how time actually is.
Okay, so time actually isn't. So like, yeah, so like, are you gonna say that like change is purely like a psychological thing?
Well, change in the sense of like how we observe change is psychological, but what change actually is just the variance of properties between two slices of time.
Yeah. Like we could, yeah, like Aristotle's not denying that like, properties can have there's like a difference of properties, right?
Yeah, but in this case, there is no like separate shadowy existence, right? So in this case, there's no over here, apple. We have apple seed, and then there's apple seed potentia at time slice A, and then time slice 2 we have apple seed, and then apple tree actualized, right? So apple seed potentia, actual tree, apple actualized, right? Everything just exists.
Yeah. It's like everything just like exists at the same time.
Well, they exist in different. They exist in like a 4-dimensional plane. Would be like more, but yeah, they exist all. They're all equally present.
Yeah. So like, I'm like, I'm having trouble like kind of like making a picture of this though.
Okay, so imagine, right? Imagine we have a line. We have like 3D lines, right? And then we have a fourth line, and that fourth line is time. And instead of the fourth line, there's a linear procession from that fourth line, right? So instead of fourth line to fifth line to sixth, instead of fourth line at T1 to T2 to T3 to T4, right? T1, T2, T3, and T4 all exist equally upon the same line.
Okay, so like for example, like you're technically like already dead or something, and like you're also not born. Those are all happening like at the same time.
Well, saying already dead is already invoking like time language, right? To say like the dead me is equally real, yeah, as the alive me. But to say like I'm already dead would just be invoking time language, which wouldn't be really helpful here, right?
Well, yeah, like, but then I don't know how you would make sense of like statements like, it's like I would say like Fleur is dead and alive, like that would be a true statement.
Fleur is dead and alive, yeah, that would be a true statement. It wouldn't be really helpful. Like, I don't see the issue with that like statement, because what we're just saying is that all the tenses are just like psychological. So any of the tenses, when I say like Fleur is dead at time 3 and Fleur is alive at time 1, it just all you're saying is when you're saying Fleur is dead and alive, on the same line I'm dead and alive, right? But at T1 and T2 I have different states. I'm either alive or I'm dead, It's not that I'm not existing as simultaneously at T1, both dead and alive. I'm just dead at T1 and alive at.
Yeah, but like, what would constitute your identity, like on this view?
What constitutes there's like several ways we can take like a Perdurantist view and just say my identity is whatever my continuance of like temporal parts is. So when I say like I have some essential parts, and then there's like some temporal parts, and an essential part would be a part that that if I didn't have it, I wouldn't be me, and then we all those parts are temporal because they all exist in continuous with me.
Okay, so we have so we have like this line, right? And what constitutes like the identity of Fleur, right? Is it like the entirety of that line together?
All the points that exist on that line, right? So all the points that exist on that line,
yeah.
Plus, like, and I assume like some essential characteristics of me, but all the points that exist on that line would it be me, right?
Yeah, so like all the points on that line would be you, would not be you.
Okay, sorry. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I exist at T1, right?
Yeah.
And I exist up until T4.
Okay.
So I exist. Now there's all these parts associated with me. So I have like different parts, tropes, accidents, etc. Accidental, and then I have some essential qualities. And some essential qualities from T1 to T4, I'm not gonna not have, right? Until after T4, once the parts are not me anymore, right? So from T1 to T4, that's when I exist. And then there's all a bunch of accidental properties, right? So from T1 to T4, I may have like, I don't know, my arm could fall off tomorrow, but I'd still be me.
Okay,
right?
So like the time as applied to you, that wouldn't be like a property, like an accident.
Yeah, well, the time would just be like a line.
Like an
That's it.
of you.
It'd be a dimension. Think of it like a dimension, right?
Yeah, like I'm literally just like viewing it like as a line right now. Like okay, actually, are you familiar with like the idea of like a worm kind of thing? Like I forgot who made this idea, but like they're just like copies like connected to each other. They're like making like this worm thing as we go along the line.
Never heard of this.
Yeah, okay, like you're like a line segment, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so that's like your view, right? Like you're a line kind of like segment being.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're saying like the duration is something psychologically applied to that line? Or
Yeah. So when I say something exists for 5 seconds or exists for 6 seconds, it's only in relation to some other thing, right? It's not like it's just a psychological tool for me to my experiences.
Yeah, like but when you say that, like where's that judgment coming from? Like is that coming from within time? Like how are you like
It's just coming from my experience, right? So like if I'm saying like, something is like exists for 5 seconds, right? It's just in relation to some arbitrary thing I've already like put it to, right? So I will say like, let's just say like a second is how long like I think it takes like an atom to ionize or a certain like Celsium atom to ionize, right? And I'm just like, okay, well that, and then that's what a second is, and then I just like relate that to my experience as it is, right? And the question is how do I exactly know that's how my experience that is a separate question from what time is, because we can know what time is from like special relativity. We can know what time is from like arguing about tenses, right? We don't need to actually appeal to our experience that much.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So like from this line segment, and you're saying so like the duration is not like accumulation of those like parts on a line segment though, is
duration is just psychological. That's all I said.
It's like a what? Sorry.
It's psychological. That's all it is. It's just the psychological experience of some degree of time. It's just an phenomenal thing.
Like when I think of like duration, I assume that that's going to be a measure of something, right? So like a measure of 5 hours or 5 minutes or 5 whatever.
Yeah, but it's not a real measure, right? Like 5 hours, 5 minutes, 1 second are all just like some arbitrary
those are like
metric that qualify to our experience.
Yeah, those are conventional, sure. But like the thing is that like if we take so from A to B, that's like a Fleur duration, right?
Mm-hmm.
And can we like divide that in half? Like can we make sense of that being divided in half and keep the same unit though?
So can we make sense of like dividing that in half and keep the same unit? I'm sure we can make sense of it. That doesn't mean that that division is like real, right?
So I mean I'm just like confused on how does psychological process works like right here. Because it's like it's
I mean, like if you want to know how the psychological process works, then you can just like go like read like some cognitive science on the topic, right? Like if that's what you want to know. but like
Well, as
me
it
telling you it's
relates
like
as it relates to like duration, because like if we have a line and these lines are made up, if we have like okay like time as in a line, we can divide that line up, right? Will those parts of the line have a duration?
yeah, but they would only have a duration insofar that we have like some arbitrary way to measure that duration. It's not like a real duration.
Okay, so like so when you're saying it's not a real duration there, like so we
Because when
can't.
you divide parts in the line, right? When I like cut the line in two, I'm using some type of mental intuition to divide that like line in two. Like to
Yeah,
even say
like
that we're dividing the line up, right, into different parts
Mhm.
is just invoking a mental intuition like space time.
yeah. So like what this reminds me of is kind of like okay, so I think you're familiar with like Zeno's arguments, about motion in terms of like, from moving from A to B, we need to move, half a step, right? But we also have to move half of a step to get half a step, and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that if we have to do that, then we'll never get to A to B. We'll never get to the end of the line if all these divisions have to be actual. But like if you're saying they're not real divisions, but we can divide them, like in what sense? Like only
I said
like we
only
can,
insofar that intuition divides them. That's it.
yeah,
Like
right,
so.
yeah. But that sounds, that does sound like a bit of how Aristotle would kind of go about it, because he would say that the line is potentially um, infinitely divisible, but it's not actually, infinitely divisible.
What does that even mean for the line to be potentially infinitely divisible?
So like how you're saying that we can just like do like these arbitrary measures, but the point is that for us to do that, we actually have to choose a measure to do, right? We can't we eventually have to make a first move. It's like
Yeah.
we can't remain in this like, state of just pure possibility, pure potential, because then we would never actually have this duration. So to make
Well,
sense of
we don't actually have the duration. That's what I told you. There is the
what,
duration is real. That's what I've been telling you the whole time.
right, but then like if you have no duration, then like there's no amount of time that you're alive.
Yeah, well, I told you the amount of time that we're alive is just not even it's not even a real thing, right? Like, what is it like to say the amount of time I'm alive would imply that it
Yeah.
would already assume a theory, right? It would just say like, oh, well, I've existed for this amount of linear procession of events. There is no amount of time I'm alive. It's just the amount I've arbitrarily like set.
Okay, but like I just don't know what it means to say you've never had any, like if we're gonna say something was okay, like if I were to say a statement like, the Jurassic period lasted from around X to Z. I'm giving a duration of time there, right? And if it's just the case that there is no duration, then in what sense has it ever existed?
What sense it just existed insofar as it existed at those points on the line. Right, but those
Yeah,
points on the line are just arbitrary, right? They're just useful fictions for us to like better work through the world.
yeah, but it just sounds like the way we're carving about these useful fictions. I don't know what would be incompatible with like an act potency distinction there, when we'd say we can potentially carve it up in this way, but for it to
Because
actually, for it to have a duration.
because saying we can potentially already is like invoking.
Mhm.
So like when you say like act potency, like when we're already like I don't even know what it would mean to like for the line to exist in potency.
Well, it's just like the way we cut it, right?
What do you
Like
mean
we
the
can,
way we like?
and yeah, like so this line thing, right? So this line segment, right? For it to have a duration, like we need a sign. It has to have a unit. Right? It has to have like a unit of time, right?
Yeah, but if we're talking about potency, you would have to imply that anything that would come to exist in potency would be real. But I told you the thing that comes to exist isn't real.
Well, like what do you mean by real here?
What I mean, like instantiated in reality, like
Mhm.
like actually like corresponding or obtains in reality in some way. Is mind independent? Obtains in reality.
Yeah. Like if we look at, I'm not even quite sure if like we necessarily need to be. We can't be like idealists about this either, though. I don't know why you couldn't be an idealist and still hold like an act-potency distinction in terms of like accounting for change, right? Because all you're really doing is just taking being, contrasting it with non-being, but still having a way of saying that not everything actually exists at the same time, and that things move, things change, right? And that we can make distinctions.
Wait, that doesn't even make sense because you're not even like to say that everything exists at the same time. I never said everything exists at the same time. I'm saying everything exists equally. There's a difference between everything exists equally and everything exists at the same time.
Yeah, but like if everything so when you say everything exists equally, and you're saying that
there's no like everything is like every moment, past, present, and future is equally real.
Okay.
So like when I say there's no like it's not in the sense of like presentism where I have like moment A, which is the present, and then that's what exists is the present, right? Like that's
okay. So like the future actually exists and the past actually exists, right?
yes,
And they all equally exist.
yes.
Okay. And so when we make a proposition like Fleur is alive, Fleur is dead, we have to qualify it by saying Fleur is alive at time t, and Fleur is dead at time z. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And I'm just wondering, like, when you have an account of change here, like, are you moving from one time to another? Like, is that the thing that's changing?
No, all change is just the variance between time A and time Z. It's just the difference. That's it. That's all change is.
Okay, it's just a difference between time A and time Z.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we speak of like a duration of change, like this was changing for X amount of time, you're saying that's just like that's psychologically applied by the mind. But
yeah, it's not like there's like this linear like experiential change. It's just we have time A, we have time Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a difference between the two moments. It's not like things are changing or like becoming and then they are, right? It's just like things just are, and then there's like, between two moments.
Like,
there's
so there's no like actual like becoming, like nothing really becomes another thing.
Yeah.
Right. So nothing becomes anything.
Yeah, it's just that when we say that something is, we just say that between point A and point B, there's a difference. So when we say there's a change, there's a difference between point A and point AB.
Okay, but like, if you're saying nothing becomes, then nothing ceases too.
Nothing ceases. Well, something would only cease in the sense that there's a lack of some type of essential property at a different point. So if between point Z and point D, something loses its essential property, then it ceases.
Okay, so like, but when you say it loses it,
yeah, it just means when I say loses it, I just say there's a difference. So between point A and point C, something just doesn't have that property. So and point C doesn't have that property, and point A it does have the property.
Yeah, but then everything would but then like everything would lose and gain stuff, like everything just loses and gains stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So like you right now, like I would say you are gaining and losing, like you've gained and lost, like your weight. You've gained and lost practically everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So like, but between point A and point B, I do have a difference in weight.
Yeah, I don't know. This just kind of feels like we're back at like a Parmenidean kind of block universe. Everything just like everything like just exists. There's just being.
Yeah, I don't see the issue with the block universe here, so I don't see the issue.
Well, because like everything just is. Like that's the only thing that is.
Yeah, there's a block universe. I mean, Parmenides would go probably beyond the block universe, right? So I mean, like, I'm not even go. I'm not really in the block universe.
He would just end at like just being. Like,
yeah, I don't. What's the issue? I mean, if anything, my theory is more parsimonious than yours because you have to imply like two different kinds of existence. I only have one kind of existence. It's just an act.
yeah, but like, what your existence is just like like the way you're partitioning your being is there's being at time t and then being at time x, y, z, right?
Yeah.
But I don't see how that would be much different than just saying there's being an act and being potency.
Well, because they all exist and act on the same line. If it was in potency, right, we would say that at time, I don't know, we're going to privilege time A, and we're going to say at time A, right, something is in potency, a fish, right, but it is actually a grizzly bear or something, right? So we're privileging time A. This I don't even need potency, right? All potency would just mean at time 3, right? At time 3, it's different, right? It's not even talking about like a potential, right? It's not talking about like a separate shadow existence. This thing's already in act. It's just in act at time 3.
Yeah, but like okay, you're just saying it's already actual. Like it's already actual.
Yeah, just at time 3, it's actual.
Okay. So like, where is time 3? Because it sounds like you're making. You're
so
now
like we have a first, we have one dimension, right? We have a horizontal, we have a vertical axis, and then we have depth.
Yeah.
And then time 3 would just be a fourth dimension. It would just be a fourth line. So like the fourth line, we were just gonna like it's just gonna be a fourth line. You know how like
I get that. Yeah, you're like analogizing it to space, right?
yeah, it's like a type of space, kind of similar to space.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure in quite what way it's going to be meaningfully like distinct from just like another spatial dimension we just don't have access to.
What way is it going to be distinct from a different spatial dimension?
It
I mean,
seems like
I would know that. I mean, like I already think that space and time in terms of intuitions are basically like conjoined. So I mean, I don't see
like a Kantian kind of intuition, like an inner sense and then an outer sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and duration is just like psychologically like we apply it.
Yeah.
But nothing really has duration.
Yeah.
Okay. But so nothing actually has duration, but when we speak of something existing for this amount of time, it's really like that. That's a true statement. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, like, true in what sense? It's just true in the sense that, like, we have some, like, norms associated with asserting the sentence. That's it. Like, I'm not even, like, why would I say, like, it's true and it corresponds? It doesn't correspond, but I'm not a correspondence theorist. So.
it's fine, but it's like nothing actually has a duration.
Yeah, but, like, and?
But, like, for something to exist, it has to exist for some amount of time.
Yeah, and all that duration really is that between the 2 points, right? Like,
yeah, but I'm saying that's not actual. Like the distance between the 2 points isn't a real thing. So like it can't even have a duration there.
Yeah, like I mean, like, but like it would be true that it has a duration, just insofar as there's like some reason to assert the claim.
Okay, and like what would be the reason to assert that anything has a duration?
It's just like a useful fiction, like where we can like say like it corresponds with our intuitions in some way, like our mental intuitions. We like there's some like it governs the way that we do it. It falls in some of the norms that we do inquiry with, right? So many reasons to assert the claim.
Yeah, but it just like you just like deleted everything though from like existence because like nothing has a duration, nothing exists for any amount of time.
Yeah, and like why is that a problem?
Because then nothing would exist.
I mean, they do exist, just not in the same sense, like just only in like so far that there's like some psychological way of like comprehending their existence. I don't see an issue.
Yeah, so like when we talk about like, okay, there's a psychological way of like, apprehending their existence. So,
Yeah, it's just like all we say is like when something exists, it's just like I have arbitrarily like sorted out some properties between 2 points on a line, and those points are also arbitrary.
right, but you, so like when we talk about like you, like Fleur, like do you exist for an amount of time?
Mind independently like exist, like in the sense of like I exist as like a distinct like particular, like a distinct like no.
Well, like
Right.
is it true that Fleur exists even if Fleur doesn't like propose an amount of time she exists, for example?
Is it true that I exist even if I don't propose? No. Well, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, like, what are you talking about? So, like, are you saying like, do I exist insofar? I mean, I would just say existence is just some like norm. Like, it just means that we ought to bring it up for like discussion or like ontological. Like, we ought to ontological commitment to it. So, I just
so when
think
I
like I ought to ontologically commit to myself existing, then I exist.
yeah, I would say that existence is like actually like the poorest of our categories, and it's just the minimal we can even attribute to anything for it to not be nothing.
Well, no, I would just say like existence is even like really like a descriptive thing. It's just like it's a normative thing. It's just like, oh, we have some ontological discourse of things that we commit, like we should like like introduce into like our, I don't know, given subject, right? And then we just say that those things exist if we ought to commit to them existing.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like existence is the least you have to attribute to a thing for it to not be nothing.
Okay, and like it would only be nothing insofar as there isn't just some like there isn't like some given like system of entities that we use to describe things with, right?
Yeah, but like when I think of something like what I would take, I don't even know if I don't even think it's like sensible to take of to speak of nothing really, but I think logical impossibility is the closest approximation we can kind of make an intuition of. So
Okay.
like being is basically like, I guess like from an indefinite being we get to being contingent.
Okay. You got anything more to say?
I don't know, where do you want to take it from here?
Well, I gotta go pretty soon, so I guess I'll talk to y'all later.